Welcome back to CodinGame. Fall Challenge 2023. Alright. Where were we last time? Hello, Amaro. 762. So I think we've improved a tiny bit. Thanks to the changes I made last time. I didn't do much last time. It was mostly a bit of cleanup, a bit of refactoring, bit of discussion about how the mechanics actually work, because there's some subtleties that are not actually explained in the description. You have to kind of look into the actual code to understand what is actually happening step by step. We also have... See, this is important. This stuff, collision between monsters. Let's have a look at this. Order of actions. So this is the actual order in which actions happen. So first you turn on the lights. Now that's interesting because you might trigger a monster early. So I thought you would turn on the lights when you reach your destination, but you actually turn your lights on. So that increases the risk of triggering a monster. Right, so we've got to keep that into account. Draining or recharging drone batteries. Sure. Movement of drones, fishes, and monsters. In what order? I guess it doesn't matter. Or I guess it's drones, then fishes, then monsters. It does matter, because if a monster gets into contact with a drone, then the drone gets attacked. So, okay, the drone moves first, then the fishes. Interesting. So when you try to chase a fish, you move towards them, then they'll swim away, then the scan happens. So not only do you have to get close to them, you have to get close enough that they can't actually escape you before the scan takes place. I thought the scan would take place before the fish move. That's interesting. So we're going to keep that in mind. Then... so you move before the drone monster collision is calculated, so... Careful with Leviathans, yeah. I actually do have to be more careful with them. Right now, our escape code is kind of not very good. As soon as we're out of range of the monster, we just go straight back towards the monster, because we just forget about it. That's not good. Alright, updating monster targets. Fish scans. Alright, so this is when the scans take place. Saving drone scans. Emergency repairs for drones. Updating fish speed. Fine. Updating monster speed. Okay. So I realized that there's something very useful we can do here, which will should be a straight-up improvement to my current code. It shouldn't yield any disadvantages, I think. It would just make our positioning more accurate. So right now, our predicted position is just, we look at the radar segment, whether we're in top left, top right, whatever, and we take the average, the center of that rectangle, and say, okay, we're guessing that the fish is there. That's a good estimation, I think. We'll stick with that, except we can tighten this rectangle a lot. Right now, we're just basing it off the radars. There's actually several factors we can factor in. I can actually kind of highlight them all. So how many rectangles do we know that a fish lies in? All right. First of all, we know it lies within its band. So it has a width and it has a height, and the fish lies within that band. That's bona fide. They can't, unless they go off the map, but then they're not in the database anymore. So that's we know that for a fact. Okay. Second of all, we know for each of our drones, we have a quadrant of the map in which it lies. Now, if our drones are like in two different places, then, you know, it could be between them, or it could be to the side of them, whatever. So that gives us two rectangles that it lies in. They may coincide, may fully intersect, they may slightly intersect, whatever. So it lies in those two rectangles, one for each of the drones. And we always get that information every turn. Hello, DJ. Alright, so how many rectangles do we have? We have one, which is the habitat. We have one for one of our drones. We have one for the other of our drones. So those three rectangles intersected will give a tighter rectangle for where it lies. I think we're already basically doing that. But there's more information. How does this work? Omara, I can't remember. Were you in any of my previous Fall Challenge streams? Or was this your first one? Ah, okay. Hang on, let me grab my copy as well. I can give a brief overview. I mean, it will help me recap as well. Oh man. My Airbnb host, the only cups in the kitchen are all glasses like this. Now, I could ask them for a mug, but I can't be bothered to ask my host just to bring a mug. If it was a mug and a saucepan, or a mug and a spatula, or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, hey, do you have this? Can you bring this to me, or something like that? But if it's just a mug, I don't really want to waste their time. So I've just been burning my hands on my glass of coffee every day. Could even just buy a mug, cheap plastic mug, and just leave it in the kitchen for the next person. All right, so this game, this competition is still running. So if you're interested at all, even, and you don't have to commit to anything, you can even just try the earlier leagues, which are more basic rule sets. But yeah, basically this is a competition where everyone's writing their own AI for their bots. And then it's just kind of running the AI on this game. If you haven't seen it, the UI for CodinGame before, it's actually like immaculate. Like, this is actually amazing UI. I don't know any other website that puts in the effort to make something work so smoothly like this, including the engine for the game and everything. And this is all free. It's crazy. There's nothing else like this on the internet. Alright, so, this game, we control 2 drones. So, there's one of my drones, there's my other drone. And their AI, well actually they don't, you have an overall AI, so you're telling them what to do, but you can see what they're both seeing, essentially, so it's not like they have their own independent AI. So you can see everything they see in this light radius, including any fish that might be in their light radius, and you can tell them where to move. That's literally the only command you give them, move to this position. Oh, you can tell them whether to turn their lights on or off. Their lights are always on, but if you tell them to turn their lights on further, then it just extends. You can see sometimes it's a small disc, sometimes it's a big disc. Alright, so you gotta basically tell them to move around the map and try to find all the fish. And when they get within range of a fish, they scan it. And the goal really is to just scan lots of fish and get points. You get combos. If you scan all the fish of one band, you get a special combo for being the first one to do that. If you get all the fish of one type, for example, all the crabs, you get a combo too. I'm not worried about the combos too much. I'm just trying to scan all the fish. And my opponent has his own AI. This is just some other code that someone else has written, so they're pitted against each other. And whoever gets the most points as quickly as possible wins, basically. To complicate matters, though, there are monsters, or like leviathans, but they're anglerfish. So if you get close to them, they start chasing you, and they're actually pretty fast. Their speed is 540, and our speed is 600. So you have to be going away from them at max speed to really evade them. To have them lose aggro on you. So if they touch you, you don't die. You go into emergency mode, which means, look, this guy is in emergency mode now. That's my drone, which means he can no longer input any moves. He's forced to return to the surface at a slow speed, so he just rises to the surface like this. He also loses all his scans. So if you scanned a lot of fish, you're holding those scans. You only lock them in when you reach the surface again, intact. So you got to collect some fish, then return to the surface to lock them in. So if you collect a bunch of fish and then you get startled by the monster, then you lose all your scans, and you're just forced to waste time and just return to the surface. And then you can carry on, but it's a lot of progress lost. I got 0 points there. So yeah, the gist of it is try and collect all the fish, try and dodge all the sea monsters, and think of strategies to do that efficiently. So my most recent strategy was just return to the surface every time I scan anything at all, because I was being really paranoid. Now I've gone the opposite direction. I'm actually trying to get all the scans, and that means dodging the sea monsters. The problem is my dodging code is just not very good. So I end up hitting the sea monsters. It's a league-based game, so when you start the game, it's a very basic rule set. There's no monsters, and your light is infinite. You can see everything, and so it's like you can just find the fish and collect them. It's pretty basic. When you become top of that league, including beating the boss, then you get promoted to the next league. So there's 3 wood leagues, and then once you get to bronze, you have the full rule set. That means you got monsters, you got radar, all these fancy things, and then it becomes just based on merit. So I'm in silver right now, which is pretty decent. Top league available right now is gold. Legend league will usually be the top 100 people or so. I think I've only ever reached legend league once, I think, and on that occasion, that was the first competition I entered. And on that occasion, I spent a lot of time on it. It was like every day, I just spent all day on it. It was like a full-time thing for me. I don't have the time to do that anymore. But that was the Bomberman game. Normally, I reach silver or gold. Usually, I can manage to reach gold if I put enough time in, but minimum silver, I would say. Usually, I reach silver. Yeah, that's the gist of it. Right now, I'm trying to think of some strategies. So, okay, you don't know where any of the fish are. You can only see what's in your radius. But you can infer their position because you have a radar, which, whenever you ping the radar, it tells you whether the fish... For every single fish on the board, it tells you whether it's in to the bottom left quadrant of it's to the northeast, to the northwest, to the southwest, to the southeast of you. So basically it splits the grid into 4 quadrants, and it tells you whether the fish is to your top left and so on. So that you get that information for both of your drones. So for example, this squid here, octopus or squid, I think octopus. This drone would see that he's in bottom right. This drone would see that he's in bottom left. So you put those together, you would actually get a rectangle like this. You know he's in that rectangle, you just don't know where. But what's more is that octopus is only allowed to be in this band here. So you combine those 2 rectangles and you'd actually get a smaller rectangle. And you can say, for sure, he lies somewhere in that rectangle. So what I'm doing for every fish, I'm constructing a rectangle like that. And it becomes kind of like a restricted zone. And then my predicted position for them is just the center of that rectangle, for lack of a better algorithm for now. Can you use one drone to distract enemies while the other one scans? You could do. It might not be... It's something I haven't tried. It's very... So the AI will be quite difficult to write. I'm not sure whether it would yield a good result, because I feel like both drones can sort of manage the job of going around scanning stuff and avoiding monsters if your avoid code is good enough. If there's lots of monsters on the board, then there might be some sense to that. See, the thing is, you've got your opponent on the board as well. So what would you actually gain from distracting the enemies? If you use one drone to distract enemies, you've now let the other 3 drones on the board get through. But that's 2 enemy drones and 1 drone that you own. So you've actually helped the enemy more than you've helped yourself. So I think that would actually be a losing strategy, or it wouldn't be a net gain. Because you're just helping the enemy more than yourself. Now both of your enemy drones can get through and only one of yours can. So yeah, I don't think for only 2 drones, I don't think there's enough of a payoff to do that. But you never know. I mean, some of the top competitors in these leagues do some crazy things. See, somebody I know, Ku, who is often in chat, and he has been participating in these competitions regularly. He's currently position 265 in this league. Oh yeah, you can run your code against anyone. You can just drop them into this field here, and then run your code on the same map or a different map. There's just so many options in this IDE. It's pretty cool. And the IDE has all these languages. You can use any of them. You have to use the website IDE though. You can't use your own. So you're restricted to basic modules, although they have NumPy for Python, which is pretty good. I don't usually use it, but I probably should at some point. Okay, so I'm running my code against Ku. So what's going on here? I don't like the colors here. I always can't really tell the difference. Okay, those two are mine. 2 and 4 are Ku's. So he's debugging, so he's actually printing those statements out. You can do that. You can have them print messages to help debug. So there's a lot of monsters on this map. And you can see his flee code is actually very good. Except he got caught. But it was pretty good code. Now, see, here's the problem with my code. My flee code is very localized, so if I see a monster, I flee, okay? By going in the direct opposite direction of that monster. Until I'm out of range. But then I just go back to what I was doing before, which is go straight towards the monster. So it will just bounce back and forth until I get caught, because the monster will just kind of catch up each time. So that's really not very good. And Ku wins because one of his drones actually just kind of did a full traveling salesman and just kind of scanned every fish on the board. So not only does he win, but he gets the bonus for getting every combo. So every horizontal line is a combo. Every vertical line is a combo if you're the first person to get that combo. So the star means he got that bonus. And each individual fish, if you're the first person to get that fish, you get that combo too. You get the bonus. So there's medals on the right for the rows, medals on the bottom for the columns, and then the star for the fish itself. He's got basically every possible combo except a couple. So, like, points-wise, he just destroys me. See, I just lose everything because... Alright, I get like 2 scans at the end, so... How many points did I finish with? 2 points! And Ku got 80, but that's why he's ahead of me in the league. So I think the biggest fault with my code really is the flee code, because it locks me into a cycle which inevitably kills me. I need to tell it to forget. No, I don't know. But, I mean, this is the hard bit, deciding what to do when fleeing, because you can no longer work locally, you have to think globally. By that I mean, you have to remember what happened a couple of turns back, because if you just turn around and go straight back towards the monster, you're going to get caught, right? So far I've been working locally. It's just like, okay, I see this near me, I see this near me, I do this. And all my code has been designed that way. So I don't remember anything from before, I just kind of start a fresh slate every turn, just look at what's near me. But now I've got to start thinking more. I've got to start learning and storing knowledge about what happened in previous turns, because otherwise I can't progress. So yeah, it seems a good strategy is to just try and scan every fish on the board and not worry too much about bonuses. Because then you'll get a bunch of bonuses just for doing that, and then you'll end the game. Because once you've got them all, the game is basically over. So if you could do that faster than your opponent, you basically win. Right. So before I do any coding, let's go through all the to-dos. Notes that I've set myself. So start from here. Okay. To do. If enemy scans a fish, we get a known disk light up radius for the position. Yes, that's important. All right. To do, go to position to capture most scans. Yeah, that's a very low priority to do, but it's worth doing. All right, to do, handle sides of grid. Again, oh, yeah, that's quite important. So this one's saying, because we're fleeing in the opposite direction of the monster, but if we hit a wall, we just kind of keep trying to go into the wall, and we won't go anywhere, and then we get caught. So that basically locks us into getting caught. We need to tell it to either slide along the wall or to, I don't know, find another direction. That's not easy to do. To do, when monsters aggro, which drone does it chase? That's low priority, but it's something I need to look up. To do, class variable, I don't want to do that anymore. Take that out. To do, chase the rest of the fish away. Low priority, but that's worth doing. That's everything. Alright, I don't want to do any of those to-dos. Instead, I want to do something that's more important right now. Out of interest, what happens if I uncomment this? So this is saying, as soon as I get a single point, the scan, immediately bank it at the surface. So it's like paranoid. It's like pessimistic, and if I turn this off, it's optimistic. It just tries to get every scan and is not scared of the monsters. So if I do this, do I do any better? So we're reusing the exact same map, same conditions. So we got 2 points before. I reckon we'll do better because we're actually banking some points. Man, we even got a medal. See, 38 versus 78. That's not bad at all, is it? Still stuck in silver. I'm still in silver. I wouldn't say stuck because I haven't been expecting to promote anytime soon. It's like there's a lot of work to get there, so I'm still just kind of gradually progressing in silver. I'm not sure if I'll even make it to gold. Hello, Johan Fran. To be honest, you can easily beat the silver boss. I think within the remaining 4 or 5 days I probably can, yeah. But I'll need to overhaul some of my code. Johan Tran, do you like the challenge so far? Yes, actually, I think this is one of the better competitions I've done, and I've done kind of all of them for several years now. Like this one is particularly good. So some of my favorites have been like the Bomberman one was the first one I ever did. I think the Pac-Man one was quite good, even if it kind of suffered a bit in Python because I needed to do a lot of pruning and Python was a bit slow, but that was good as well. This one, I really like the design of it. It's nice, simple rule set, complex strategy. Like, an example of one I didn't like was one which was basically Dota, a replica of Dota, using Marvel characters like Iron Man and Hulk and stuff. I thought the problem with that one was that there were just so many different heroes and you had to keep track of all their different stats and stuff. It was just a complicated rule set and wasn't easy to just jump in and get some nice scripts going. So yeah, this one I like a lot. Basically, to beat the boss, you just need to scan the most fish on your right or left quadrant, actively going for bottom ones first. What do you mean by on your right or left quadrant? Oh, you mean send the drones in different directions? I do think that's a good idea, having the drones apart, because then their radars will give better information. It's like their two radars will interact with each other to create a smaller bound for each fish. So yeah, I like the idea of having one drone stick to the left, one drone stick to the right. Actively going for bottom ones first. I mean, yeah, I can believe that. So what's the motivation behind going for bottom ones first? To try and get those... don't necessarily need all bottom ones. So you're just enough to score better than boss. Considering what you've taken along the way. So it's like... So you're not suggesting, like, banking along the way? Like, going back to the surface in intermediate intervals? Just collect as much as we can in one big sweep? Yeah, I mean, that's roughly where I'm heading, because I noticed that Ku is doing that, and it's pretty effective. To not spend time heading to the surface. I think the biggest issue, though, is I need to write better avoiding code for my avoiding monsters, because like it's like right now I'm just going in the opposite direction from the monster until he's out of range, and then inevitably I just turn around and head straight back to him because I forget about him. So I've got to start storing his last known position and doing something with bounds and stuff. I have an idea for how to do that. Because, yeah, right now it's just very much, is he in range? Is he not? It's too binary. I need to be kind of passively avoiding him in everything I do. So you're in the top 100 gold with it right now. That's pretty good. What's your username on the site? Avoid monsters should avoid all monsters in range horizontally. Wait, what do you mean by that? Read receipt. Alright. See if I can add you. I guess, oh, if you're in gold, I won't be able to fight you right now. But... Hello, no castling. Yeah, so I only really have about an hour, maybe an hour, 20 minutes for this session right now before I need to go to the gym. So my best plan this session is to kind of improve this stuff about rectangles, because it's kind of messy at the moment. I want to kind of formalize it. Let's create a rect class. Get wrecked. We could actually have a method get wrecked. It might be similar to what some game engines have, like I think that's what the class is usually called, isn't it? Wrecked. So basically rect will have top left and the bottom right. Is that the best way to represent it? Doesn't really matter. You could have a center and a radius, but I think top left point and bottom right point is probably good. So it would be top left is a position. a vector, basically. Bottom right is a position. What's the point of this rect? So have some useful methods. Get intersection. So we could override the ampersand symbol between two rects to give the intersection between the two. We can have get center, which will get the center. We can have union. No, union, there's no reason to do union. There might be later on, but not right now. So right now what I'm doing is getting, yeah, this method. We don't want to be doing this. This is a rect function. We can kind of take all this logic out. This one here is a rect function as well. Get the center of a rectangle. Okay, so let's see. Define. Let's say get center. So it's just this basically. Well, we have to, it's gonna be it's going to be like self.tl, so the x value or hang on, let's simplify this. So we basically want to add the top left corner to the bottom right corner and average them. Does that just give you the middle? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? My avoid monsters is suboptimal compared to what you're going to implement. I use get 600 unit points in radius of drone and look if it doesn't collide with any 540 move of all monsters. So you look along the full circle of radius 600. Every single point along the perimeter, and you basically do the vector calculation of the line to that point, line segment, and see if that line segment every 3 degrees, can't do 1. Well, when I say every point on the circle, I mean like every grid square that exists in that radius, or you're actually doing it by angles instead of perimeter points. Because I guess it's not really a circle, it's a sort of Manhattan distance thingy. Well, no, not Manhattan distance, just a kind of a Minecraft circle, let's say. Get 600 cosine table, sine table. Oh, you actually store a cosine table and a sine table. Wow. It's like what people had to do in the 80s when they were in school when we didn't have calculators. Well, I say we. I had calculators when I was a kid. They had to look up cosine tables and sine tables for the values. Logarithm tables. I guess it's fast and efficient, yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Interesting. X equals X plus, yeah. Okay, so you choose a bunch of points on the circle, regardless of how granular that is, and then what? You choose. So the like, lots of those points will be safe. So then which one do you pick? So, like, lots of those points, let's say, will flag as not colliding with any monster's path. Then what? You're picking the one that's closest to your target without being dangerous. So that will kind of steer your drone to keep trying to go to where he's trying to go. The ones that don't collide get us to our target. So you move, then the monsters do their move. So I guess you're trying to leave that extra 540 gap. Yeah, okay. So right now the monster's sitting still. He has a radius around him where he might attack you. So not only does your line segment have to not cross that static circle, but then the final point has to be a certain distance x from where the monster's currently standing. Okay, so those basically two checks need to be made there. Okay. So it's like a geometry calculation, then just like a straight up distance. Sounds good. Yeah. I mean, that will definitely be better than what I'm doing, because right now I'm losing progress because I keep going back in the opposite direction, which usually means we end up going straight up because of the monsters below us. But yeah, going to the side of them, it will also help against the edges of the walls as well, because right now I'm just bumping into the walls and I'm just kind of trying to go into the wall, and then the monster catches up to me. So this code will eliminate all the points which are outside the grid, so we don't try to go towards those points. That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Let's make a note. I mean, yeah, that is very much in line with what I was already planning, but I think some ideas from that I hadn't quite fleshed out, but yeah. And you can also factor in predicted positions for monsters, like if you saw them one turn ago, and now they're out of range, but you know where they roughly were, and you can draw a circle around them where they could possibly be based on their velocity. So you can sort of steer away from that as well. So you can do things like, rather than making it binary, is dangerous or not dangerous, you could also make it like a float, like what degree of danger is based on the probability of monsters being there, stuff like that. So like, the further a spot is from a predicted position of the monster, the less heat in that spot. So you can basically just try to find the coolest path. I'm using heat as an analogy here, but yeah. No Castling says, get current position of drone for each monster M. Get current position of the monster. Calculate distance between monster and drone. Get velocity and heading of monster. Predict future position in T seconds. You discretize space around drone into grid of possible positions. So you're doing this but are you, okay, so no castling, are you doing just on the perimeter of the circle? Or are you actually using like some points inside the circle as well, where the drone doesn't go at full speed? Or you're just letting it go at max speed at all times, in which case you're going around the circle. And for each grid cell, calculate distance between G and all monster future positions. So that accounts for the final destination. But there's just one thing I don't know if you're covering, and that's that the line of movement is not allowed to intersect with the monster's kind of like danger range at any point, because they do like a floating point line art calculation. So it actually moves kind of like continuously, and if it ever touches the monster's current static radius, then you'll still arrive at your destination, but then you'll get frightened and you'll go to the top. Are you doing that as well? Because it seems not only do you have to check from your final destination, but you also have to check for the full line of movement. Run A star search. Oh, interesting. From drone position through grid to find least cost paths. So I guess you're bucketing the grid because there's too many. Right now, there's too many points in the grid, right? So are you kind of like dividing it into blocks of like 4 or 8 or something like that? Minimum distance from monsters. Okay, so maximizes minimum distance for monsters. So are you like, for each monster, calculating the shortest distance from that monster to your path, and like summing up the squares of all those distances? Which would normally be what you do in like statistics. Follow the optimal path. Waypoints, avoiding monsters. Yeah, I think this is similar to something I said at the end of last stream. I was thinking about like creating 5 waypoints or something, and then just like minimizing the square of sum of distances between the monsters to that path, and balancing that with the distance of the path itself. I didn't praise it as A star though. That's interesting. Because what is your neighbor function for A star? I guess it makes sense because A star is flexible enough, but what? Oh, I see. Your neighbor function, I guess, is just this discretization of the circle of radius 600 at each point. That'll give you one path, like the optimal path according to A star, which will minimize the distance while curving around kind of monsters' locations. Then what would you do? Because I guess you want multiple different paths to try if you're trying to minimize the distance from... maximize the distance from monsters. This leverages A star pathfinding on a grid of potential drone positions, scoring each based on its distance to the closest monster in future time frame. By picking the path that maximizes the minimum distance, it stays as far as possible from all monsters simultaneously. Yeah. Code is riddled with bugs and I ain't getting it to work. It's quite an ambitious thing, but I mean, it sounds good, and it takes, I mean, there's a lot of similarities between that and what I was describing before. I just didn't think of how the neighbor function would work, but I guess you've sort of described that. So that's before. I mean, basically what I was saying before was basically that, but without a star. I was just gonna pick 5 points, but then I never really said how I would pick those 5 points. So yeah, that would be a problem. It would be like, I don't know, I would pick 5 points in a straight line and then I would like perturb them left or right, but yeah, that wouldn't work, would it? Or I don't know, fit some sort of polynomial curve and try all coefficients of the polynomial. Yeah, I don't know. I think a star is a good way to formalize that. Alright, let's finish this rect stuff. So S equals TL plus BR. So we add the two positions together. Oh no, by all means keep hurling ideas at me. I'm taking this all in, like this will help me. I've still got 5 days. Today I'm not going to spend much time on it, but I will put more time in the coming days. So can we, let's write a scalar method here. So we want, so if I override define is it what, div mod? Div, I don't know, I gotta look this up. Dopamine addict, aren't we all? Yeah, I can add you as a friend as well. We can. So, are you also in gold? No castling? Silver. Okay. Well, that does mean I can actually verse you then. Huh. Python built-in div mod. Let me remind myself of that. No, div mod has nothing to do with it. Okay. Built-ins. Let me see. Oh yeah, div mod is. What does it do again? Oh, div mod gives you both. Well, I don't want both. I just want this one. What's the equivalent of this thing here? Is there one? Absolutely. Oh no, this is built-ins that are available to everything. We want stuff like, hang on. Stuff like add, mul, something like that. Div, okay. I want, what's the name of, so div I guess is what, the floating point one? Is it just a list of these somewhere? have a look. What am I looking for here? TrueDiv, what's that? Alright, this site tell me. TrueDiv, is that the floating point one? Standard division TrueDiv. In-place division, right division, what? No. Do you have any idea how to make my get points in radius not time out when checking every 1 degree? Well, it doesn't sound like something that can really be optimized if you're just literally iterating over that many points. I mean, if your vector calculation is pretty straightforward, then I don't know, I suppose you could use symmetry or something to... No, I don't know. I don't think that particular point can really be sped up. It's really just a question of how many degrees you're doing. I mean, if you've got 1 point on the circle, then you could use symmetry to get like 7 other points, I suppose. But then that just gets that. Okay, that will reduce calculations by a factor of 8, but you still having to iterate over all 8 of those points. So I don't know if that will really speed things up. It will just avoid doing as many, I don't know, floating point calculations. So if you restricted to just, say, 1/8 of the circle, just found every 1 degree there, and then to get all the others you just reflect and use symmetry to get all the others, maybe that would be better. Or alternatively, so right now you're iterating over angles. What if instead you just picked a point on the circle and then you applied rotations? I feel like that would be similar though, I don't know. So you rotate. It's probably the same thing at the end of the day. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I would try doing some reflections so that you only have to do 1/8 of the circle and then to get all the others. Alright, what am I on Python? Built in for integer division. See what I can do with NumPy using 1D arrays. I mean, yeah, NumPy, you can do pretty good stuff with NumPy. Why can't I find the answer to this What is the name? What is the built-in that's being called when we're using double slash? No, we don't want true division. Is it just div then? Python built-in div. It's probably div. Div, not div. Alright, let's try something. Just... Alright, just print some stuff. Let's say, log 1... Can you do like this? Can I write that? Log is not defined. So what's 1 div 2? Valid decimal literal. I don't know. I can't find the answer to this. It's called floor division, I know that. So what's the name of the built-in? Alright, just say Python floor division built-in. I don't know, underscore div? Floor div, is that it? Oh my god, why was it so hard to find that? Is there not just a Python documentation which lists them all? Alright, there we go, floor div. That's what I want to do, not to D. So then we can just do this. Return. Add the two together and divide by 2. Okay, so that gets the center of a rectangle. Should we test this out? I don't really test things, I probably should. So R equals rectangle. Pause 2, 4, pause 7, 6. So we've got odd and even. So we switch everything to use pause x4, y equals 5. So 2 plus 7 is 9 divided by 2. So round down to 4. 4 plus 6 is... Yeah, okay, that's correct. Alright, I trust it. Alright, so now we've got that. The other thing I want is intersect. So we want to define. So I want to override the ampersand symbol. What is that one? Can we find Python and symbol built-in? What built-in does this? I don't want at, I want and, ampersand. Built-in, like set intersection. So is it what, like underscore intersection underscore? Is that a thing? Let me go back to the built-ins. Maybe there was a menu there I missed. So why doesn't add appear here? Oh, because these are always available. Right, Python add. Where's the documentation for this? No, just the Python documentation. Oh my god. Alright, just go to this one then. Okay, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Let's just call it intersect. I'm just trying to be too clever here. Alright, define intersect. Other. So if you take one rectangle and you intersect it with the other, then basically you want the top left So the new top left corner will have the maximum of the two. So it's going to be new top left equals pos. So the x value will be the maximum of self dot top left dot x self dot top left dot self dot other dot top left dot x. Is this correct? And then the y value would be the maximum. Yeah. Is that right? If they don't overlap, then this kind of gives invalid output, but we could check. what do I actually want it to do if they don't overlap? The intersection is null, so you should actually return an invalid rect, or like return a none or something. Is that CodinGame free? Hello, Stubert. Yes, it's completely free. Not only for this competition that's live, but like they've got so many hundreds and hundreds of past competitions and puzzles and stuff all for free. It's actually insane how much they give away for free on this site. So yeah, it's free. I thoroughly recommend it. I can take a quick look, because I don't know if much has changed since I last looked at it, but yeah, some of the... So the most popular things are the bot programming and Clash of Code. Bot programming is like all these competitions we had before, but they've been archived, so you can still compete. So that's Hypersonic, for example. That's the one I've done best in so far. I might go back and do some of these. And some of these are kind of submitted by users. So they weren't past competitions, they were just like... But they're still bot programming, so you can compete against others. And another thing is Clash of Code, which is a good live thing you can do. Basically, you enter an arena, a live arena, and then everyone's given like a puzzle to solve, and you just try to come first or second or whatever. You get points for beating that puzzle faster than the others in your arena. I think the arena can have up to like 8 people, it seems. So this is good practice. This is especially good for practicing interview problems, because a lot of them are like interview problems. The only thing I don't like about coding Clash of Code is that one of the modes is based on shortest code, and I don't like doing shortest code. Like, that's just for me, that's kind of dumb. I don't want to practice writing stuff with the shortest code, because I have no use for that. I don't know if there's a way to turn that off, because you might sometimes get shortest code puzzles. In fact, that's the main reason I don't do Clash of Code much. If they had an option to just turn that off, I'd be doing it so much more. So yeah, I think that's a big fault of this, and I don't know why they don't have a mode to turn that off, because most people don't like writing really hacky shortest code solutions in, I don't know, weird languages. I've mainly been programming with C# and Java, and I was thinking of taking a different approach to learn Python by doing challenges like that. Yeah, I think that's good. There's a good way to practice. There's lots of different kind of things that get practiced. For example, this competition here is more about kind of like finite state machines and kind of deciding what to do based on your kind of a variety of factors, like what you see, what your opponent's doing, stuff like that. Whereas some others are more focused on textbook algorithms. For example, the one I often refer to is Hyperloop, or whatever it was. And that one's more about kind of like using A-star search in a grid, or breadth first search in a grid. And then some of them are more... Like Mars Lander was actually quite physics-based. You're controlling a Mars Lander which has gravity, so you're giving it velocity and trying to navigate over the obstacles and stuff. So that one was more about kind of like simulations. Borders of the Galaxy. I didn't like this one. Oh, I never got past Wood 2. Interesting. I think I just didn't like it. This one was kind of like Dota. So you have different heroes, like Iron Man and Hulk and stuff. They have different stats and stuff, and you can play Dota by releasing those heroes, or basic infantry and stuff, and having them fight. I don't know, I just didn't like it. It was a bit too complicated. Yeah, so yeah, you got all this stuff here. Coding Escape. Oh, they've recently, last few years, they've introduced escape rooms as well, which is a whole different thing. In fact, I might go and do some of these at some point. I might stream them. It's an actual escape room. And they're sort of designed to be done collaboratively with other people, but I like doing them solo, and I think they're perfectly fine solo as well. So, for example, this training room, which I've already done in the past, I think. So you have like a room and you click on things and you see clues like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're telling us the code for this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can actually write code to return 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can actually just enter it manually. So you can have a group of people, some who are coders, some who are non-coders, kind of do this together. So the non-coders could go for the ones where they can just type in numbers and stuff, and the coders can write solutions. So for here, I could type 1, 2, 3, 4 and run that, and that should just do it. Haha, this is cool. I forgot all this stuff, so I could redo these at some point. I'll probably do another stream where I go through the escape games. I think to unlock some of these escape games, you have to actually pay for a subscription. So if I were to pay for like 1 month, I could probably just have a go at all of them. Okay. So yeah, good stuff there. I recommend it all. Get center. So here I would want to do new bottom right. Makes learning more interesting when you see all the time what you're doing. Yeah, one of the most impressive things about this site, and one thing that sites don't normally do, because it's actually really expensive to do, is to actually make it so visual and interactive. Like, this is showing all your debugging and stuff. You can see the light radiuses, you can see all the stuff moving around. Like, it costs them a lot of money to develop this for each of their tournaments. And a lot of sites that do this stuff, they just don't. They won't do that because it's just not feasible for them to do that. It's just like, okay, they'll just output answers to the terminal and say, okay, that's what you're working with. Here they've got this whole replay. You can drag this back and forth to see what happens across all the turns. You got your scoring system here. It's just like, I'm surprised they make enough money from this site to actually fund this development and manage the servers for thousands of people as well. And as I said, all for free. They're getting money from sponsors and stuff, but I'm surprised they even get enough money from sponsors to do this, because it's still not that well known a site. So if I got new TR, new bottom right, then I would just output this. I don't think they have stellar revenues, but are betting on future. Yeah, I mean that's probably true. You can't. This is at the end of the day, this is still a niche interest thing. I mean, okay, we've got thousands of people taking part, but it's a niche interest thing, and most people are just doing it for free and not donating or anything. I haven't donated or bought their products exactly myself, but so yeah, they're probably not making much money out of this. So, but they are developing products like that escape room stuff, which is making money, I expect, because you have to sign up, you have to actually pay to do the escape rooms. And they have, I assume they're looking into interview platforms as well, because using this site as an interview platform will be pretty good, because it's better than like LeetCode and stuff like that on HackerRank. It's just the UI is better, so... I'm actually teaching my 12 years old nephew to code. It is an interview platform? Yeah, I probably haven't looked at the interview stuff, but yeah, it's probably good for that. CoderPad. Ah, yeah, no, I have seen that, yeah, I forgot about that. It makes sense, because there's money to be had there when companies sign up. Sorry, Stubert. I'm actually teaching my 12 years old nephew to code, and I think he would like to do some of these challenges with me. I'm surprised that I've not heard about this site before. Yeah, this is brilliant. Like, if you were to do some of these collaboratively with your nephew, I think that'd be amazing, and that's something that you don't see much of. This site is mainly kind of European, so mostly people in Europe, and maybe also Asia and Africa as well also know about it. It's not as commonly known in the Americas for whatever reason. I guess it hasn't been advertised as much there, so not many people in the US, for instance, know about this site. Most of the competitors and stuff are Europeans, usually, or Central Asians. Yeah. It originates in France. I think the developers are mainly French. So I guess they're really trying to tap into the American market because, you know, that's where a lot of money is to be had. Which I'm surprised is still not as popular in America, because who are they competing with? There's nothing like this elsewhere. Like, okay, there's LeetCode, but LeetCode's not really the same sort of thing. It's a very different thing, and it's not as fun. It's actually kind of boring, but I've done LeetCode in the past, but it's very kind of like focused on like grinding out all those interview problems and stuff, but they don't have really interactive tournaments like this. They have LeetCode tournaments, but they're not as fun. They're just you know, trying to solve those textbook algorithms as quickly as possible. I have been doing LeetCode, and I think I did not learn much out of it. LeetCode's a strange one, because it's like, everyone kind of knows about it, everyone who's doing interviews and stuff, but it's also, I don't think it's a good approach for learning. Everyone jokes about grinding LeetCode if you want to do interviews and stuff. I don't think it's really the best way to approach interviews, because it's probably a good way to practice, but I think a lot of people are trying to learn from it instead of learning from the textbooks and then practicing learning using LeetCode. I think it's better to actually learn the core material from the books, like the actual algorithms textbooks, or like from sources like that, and then just to practice your knowledge on LeetCode. But a lot of people are turning to LeetCode to learn from first principles. I don't think that really is a good way to do it. And I know LeetCode themselves are trying to say, this is the best way to do it, but I don't think that's effective. The textbooks explain a lot of the core algorithm stuff pretty well for people who are willing to sit down and actually learn from the books. But that's more focused on algorithm stuff. Here, for this AI stuff, we're not really using any textbook algorithms. We're just kind of mashing stuff together, like, at the very least, maybe the occasional A-star, the occasional breadth first search, but mostly it's just thinking about principles and conditions and state spaces and what we want to do. So that it kind of teaches you to think very flexibly, which is not something that LeetCode does. I think LeetCode is more about, I recognize this is a thinly disguised dynamic programming, recursion, or whatever. But here it's not about that, it's more about thinking what to do on the spot given this situation. You can get very far without using textbook algorithms in this. And you don't... Some people try to use ML or kind of machine learning and stuff. It usually doesn't work as well as just putting together lots of these if-else scripts and stuff. Which just goes to show a lot of the time the best AI solutions are just like stuff like this, just like handling edge cases, just kind of just putting together these methods, modifying them, rather than trying to create some sort of ML model or neural network. I think the overhead in doing that is just not worth the effort. I think the people who come top of these leaderboards, they don't use ML or neural networks. Maybe some do, I don't know. Maybe some haven't found a way to make it worth the payoff. Because if you developed a neural network model, you can't just import any modules you want. You're not allowed to do that. So you'd have to actually paste the model in as a text chunk or something. I don't know. I've never really gone down that approach. Maybe there's a way of doing that, but I've never bothered. Alright, I'm probably gonna have to finish in like 20 minutes. Some of the best players use neural networks. I mean, yeah, I guess an argument can be made. It really depends on the what the actual game is. I think some games neural networks probably work better than others. This one might actually lend itself well to neural networks. I wouldn't be surprised, because of the way this states and the decisions and things work. Some other games, it might be more about pruning, like the Pac-Man for one. I remember a lot of people were working mainly on pruning big trees of paths. So in that case, it's less about neural networks and stuff, and more about, well, at least I think the best people are just writing really good tree pruning algorithms and using heuristics to cut off branches of the trees and stuff like that. In the same way that you write kind of like min-max approaches for solving like tic-tac-toe and chess and Go and stuff like that. Alright, well that's our intersect method. Shall I just try and work this into my code now, see if we can switch to using this? So, bounding boxes are rect. Not a tuple. This is one of the most fun challenges since Spider Attack. Spider Attack. I vaguely remember something. Is it where you're shooting lasers and you have to decide which spiders to... Is it similar to, like... I can't remember what the game was called, where you have a bunch of laser guns and then enemies are coming down. Do you remember the name of it? CodinGame 2021. Okay, I've probably done it then. I just don't remember it. Spring challenge? I don't think this was about spiders, was it? Oh, no, was it? 2022. Oops. Let's have a look. 2022. Which one of these is it? Fall challenge? Spring. Ah, okay. Interesting, I got a gold rank for that. I barely remember a thing about this one. Did it have a name? Oh, okay, so have they remade it as a current bot programming thing? So I guess it'll be Spring Challenged. This one, yeah, it is. Interesting. Oh, so I've still got my code there. Spider attack, I see. So it must be exactly the same code as whatever I used. So you got a bunch of heroes. Oh, okay, I vaguely remember this, but it is also quite similar to some other ones. So. Ah, yeah. Yeah, and you got Fog of War as well. So Hex Tree, I am these ones, okay. Oh yeah, it's perfectly symmetric, isn't it, as well? Like in the way that they spawn. So if you see a spider here, you know there's a spider in the opposite point. Yeah, this was an interesting one. And I always tell myself that after this competition is over, I'm gonna go back and do lots of these past tournaments, and I never do, because I just never have the time, and I'm trying to catch up on Advent of Code as well, but it's... I can still say I'm gonna do that this year, but we'll see if I actually do it. I mean, there are definitely lots of interesting bot tournaments still live that I want to try, but... It is a time sink. It's like you can only devote your time to so much, but the live ones I've mostly attempted, and then I don't really feel like continuing them because you can't really, unless you write your code from scratch again, it's hard to continue from where you left off. So maybe some of the ones which I didn't do that well in, like, okay, the Max one, usually because I just wasn't interested in spending much time on them. I could... Like, for example, Xmas Rush, I didn't get far in, so maybe I could. The chef one seems like an interesting concept, and that one I never really got very far in, but I quite like the idea of code a la mode. This one was based on the game Overcooked, which I have as well. It's not very good unless you play with friends. If you play solo, it's really tough. It's meant to be played co-op. But yeah, this one's interesting because you've got you actually co-op. So you actually have to work with your teammate as best as you can. So this was a really interesting concept. I might go back and do this one from scratch at some point. Yeah, this one... It's an interesting one, but it's quite complex too, so it's hard to get started. You can't just easily write some basic code. You have to kind of account for all the different ingredients and what needs to be done in what order and stuff. So it's not as easy as go and kill enemies. You've got to build the recipe by doing stuff in a certain order. And you've got to work with your opponent. So your opponent might put ingredients on the table, and then you've got to go pick up those ingredients to work with them. It's not easy to get started with that. That's probably why I didn't get very far in it. Wonder Woman was, I think, a decent one, but I didn't get far in that either. Crystal Rush. Yeah. I will see if I actually go back and do some of these. I think they look fun. And then these ones I never touch. Usually most of these were like the fan-made ones, which I'm sure are good, but it's just I'm more interested in the, you know, like the big ones. Okay, this one is apparently one of the big ones, but I never touched it. Is this Harry Potter? Fantastic Bits. Interesting, I never did this one. I don't know. Strategy is necessary and not only algo pasting. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I like about these. It's a mix of both. You can't neglect either. Well, you can get away with not really using any textbook algorithms, but every now and then there are some places where it's good to write your own. Like usually they give you pathfinding for free, but then when you write your own pathfinding, sometimes it's subtly better. Because it gives you more control over exactly where you want to go and obstacles on the way and stuff. Yep, lots of cool stuff. So reset bounding box. Okay, so here we just want to say self dot bounding box equals rect. So it'll be top left will be 0 width minus 1, and then the bottom right will be... Ah, no, that's not right. Top left will be 0, and then we want the top band here. And bottom right will be... So the X value will be... Hang on, I've just realized some of this, we don't want the max here. For the bottom right, we want the min, don't we? If it's an intersection of two rectangles, then we actually want the tighter one. So max for the top left, min, so that was wrong. For the bottom right. Alright, so here we want that, and then the bottom right be width minus 1 and type bands 1, the bottom band. So that is that fixed. Update bounding box. So basically I want to intersect the current bounding box with some other box. So that's pretty straightforward. We just say that equals... See, I would have liked to do something like this. I don't know what operator I'm supposed to use to do that. Let's just stick with... So we want that. It's literally just that. Let me have a look at this max min thing. Is this roughly what I did? So it's in different order, so it's gonna be... Yeah, I think that's about right. Alright, get predicted bot pos. I would say we just... return self dot bounding box dot get center. That to do shouldn't be here, it should be somewhere else. That's not a method of this. Well, we'll leave the to do because I don't know where else I'll put it, but okay. So that is nice and clean. We've got a rect method. It's frozen, which means that's immutable. We're not allowed to modify its positions. We can create a new rect of fresh rect whenever we intersect. That's the way we should do it. So let's just, okay, to finish off this stream, let's just work that into my code and then just let it run, and I think I'll be done. So I think I spent a lot of this stream just talking about CodinGame. That's fine. I'll serve as an advertisement for the site. Right, so when we're populating these creatures, wait, so when we... Another thing I should do is just get rid of pause. So we can store their position. Why not just encode their position into the bounding box? Just set the bounding box to literally be the top left and the bottom right are the same point. So it's a bounding box of zero width. That means we always have a bounding box. It's just the smaller it is, the more accurate our position. And we don't need to store their actual position. Just work it into the bounding box, so just get rid of position. Alright, so when we initialize it, we do this, this, this. Set these ones to be... So last update, that's kind of like somewhat obsolete, but we'll leave it in for now. I have something smarter that we can replace that with. Okay, so that's everything. Alright, so when we're populating creature, there's a few things we need to change here, so... Alright. Alright, here. We don't... I would say, if we see their position, we actually want to say that bounding box is now going to be replaced with this. Rect. That's the top left spot, and it's also the bottom right spot. So we're saying they are on this, in the closed rectangle of 0 size. So it's a point basically, but it counts as a rectangle. So now when we get predicted pos, it will actually get the point itself. So there is no pos, so we might get some errors. We've got to get rid of all the places where we're accessing pos. Last update, velocity, yeah, we'll store those for now. Alright, what else? Process radar info. Okay, we've said creature.boundingbox equals none. I don't like doing that. But, okay, we'll do that for now. See here, we're overriding this. So let's say... I think a better thing we can do is just keep track of all the things we see in the radar, and anything missing from that radar, we just go through each of those things and just set them to be invalid. Say, okay, this is off the map, we can deal with it. So we don't reset their bounding box. We want to keep their bounding box in memory. So don't do that. Yeah, just get rid of that. So for each radar blip we see, update creature's location. So for each of our drones, I don't like this thing either. We can figure something out to look less ugly than that. It's literally just the first drone or the second drone. It's whatever. We could probably just create a variable first drone and second drone, as simple as that. Not have to worry about this list of drones, because there's only ever 2 drones. All right, if radar is TL, then we know that the bounding box will actually be, all right, so it's going to be B equals rect. So the top left will be 0, 0. The bottom right will be drone.pos. See, this is much cleaner though, because you're giving the drone's position as one of the corners of the rectangle. So here we've got B equals rect, so that the top left will be zero. The Y value will be this, right? So 0 to the drone, and then the other one will be drone up to width -1. So start from No. Something's come. No, this is all wrong. This is all wrong. Start again. Well, okay, so we've got these all in the wrong place. All right. The top left, the X value, top right, sorry, the X value is actually going to be that. The Y value will be 0. All right. Now the bottom right will be, so the X value will be width -1. That's like the right edge of the map, and the Y value will be this, including my position. Because, all right, slowly getting there. All right, similarly, hang on. So let's get rid of all this. So okay, the top left here. So we're now looking in the bottom right quadrant. So the top left will be my drone's position, but it won't quite be. It will be basically drone.pos. We can do this. We can just say plus pos 1, 1. So it's drone.pos, but we have to do 1, 1 because it's an open segment. We're not allowed to be actually on the border itself. So starting from the next corner, right? And then the bottom right will be bottom right of the map. Okay, and then finally, bottom left. So the x value would be, hang on, so it's going to be the x value is 0. The y value of this will be this. Right, at the bottom right, so the x value will be drone.pos.x. And the y value will be width minus 1. So have we got all the symmetry here? So the pattern goes 0, drone.pos.x plus 1, drone.pos 0. And then the y value is a 0, 0, drone.pos plus 1, drone.pos plus 1. Is that right? No, wait, that doesn't work. Yeah, that's right. Okay, and then the x values are going to be drone's position, then width minus 1, drone's position. Yep, and then we've got drone's position y, width minus 1, width minus 1. Seems fine. Creature dot update bounding box b. Yeah, okay. So now that should update the creature's bounding box with this new box. So we just keep intersecting with whatever we had before. However, if something doesn't appear in the radar, I'm gonna have to finish soon. This is not a clean state to leave it in. Let's see how quickly we can do this. So scene creatures equals, okay, blipped creatures equals set. Creature equals that. Blipped creatures dot add creature. So just keep track of all the ones we've seen. Alright. Now after all the radar blips are done, we do creatures dot values. That's all known creatures minus blipped creatures. That set is basically all creatures which have left the map. So for C in that, we can just say C dot bounding box equals none. Just say it has no location. Anything else we want to set? Can we just... We could set velocity to be none as well. I don't think that matters though. Should we just create a method here, define exit map. So what to do when we exit the map. So I would say self dot bounding box equals none, self dot velocity is none. Anything else? We want to keep all this stuff because it still matters for scoring purposes. We definitely need the ID number because there's still scans of this creature. So if we don't store the ID and all that stuff, then we're gonna look up an invalid creature. It still matters. This creature still exists in our database, so we need to keep all this stuff, but we just don't want to keep its velocity and position because they are invalid. Bounding type for type. Bounding box is a rectangle. We're not allowed to set that to none. Oh, because it's of type rect. Don't like doing like a rectangle of -1, -1, -1, -1 or something like that. I just find like that's a hack and not. Maybe we should just make a boolean saying has left map. And just make the bounding box -1s just in case we try to use it, but we shouldn't be using it. So we've got is in map is a bool. Self.last update. We'll put these here. Just make these types more reliable. So last update is an int. Vel is a position. So we can just say it has 0 velocity to begin with. That's not going to harm anything. And here we can say 0 because that is actually the last update. Turn 0. So that's fine. Just do that. Reset bounding box is in map. Just say self.is in map. It's true. So exit map, we say self.is map in map equals false. Bounding box equals rect. Pause. All right, -1, -1. So if anyone tries to use bounding box, hopefully they'll throw an error because this says 0 size and it's off the map. I don't know. Equals pause. Just give it 0 velocity. Whatever. Just set those so that no one tries to use them for any purpose. But the important thing. We don't even need this. We don't use this anymore, but whatever. We'll leave it there. So now. C dot exit map. Right? So that sorts out all the things we don't see in the radar. So for now, for C in reaches.values, we can do C.reset bounding box. Now, I haven't accounted for monsters, have I? So it's giving monsters one of the habitats, which is wrong. So there's nothing to using type minus type whatever. Is it type -1? Type. Yeah, I think it's type -1. That's invalid. For now, we'll update reset bounding box, but I'm going to say what we should really be doing is set bounding box based on last bounding box. This says we know where the bounding box where it was last turn. So why don't we use that same bounding box but grow it a little bit to account for its max velocity? So whatever its max velocity is, just extend the bounding box. So where it used to be within this box, it's now within a bigger box because it could have gone in any direction using that velocity. And yeah, but for now this will be valid. And then each of these will intersect. So there's one thing here I want to do. When we see an enemy scans a fish, we can work that out based on their scan list, seeing it change. We now know that, okay, that fish is actually within the light radius of that enemy drone. And we know if their light is on because we can see their battery change. So actually we can, it's quite a clever thing here we can do. We can actually update the bounding box to be centered around the enemy drone because we know they've found the location. So now we know roughly where the fish is. You could use the speed vector to determine if the monster is coming towards you, no? We don't know their speed unless they're visible. Oh, so you're talking about the monster. I mean, right now I'm just gonna... Because the monster might update its speed vector during the next turn, so we... to some extent, yes. I'll have to look into that in more depth, though, because I need to look exactly the order of operations and see whether the monster will update its speed later or before and stuff like that. But yeah, I think all those things can be taken into account, but it's quite an involved thing to do. When an enemy scans a fish, we know the fish must be nearby. Update B-Box. That can help a lot. Basically, we're piggybacking off everything our enemy is doing to work out where all those fish are. So that will, in addition to our radars, we narrow it down even further. Gives us more accurate positions. All right, now if I rerun this, I think it could crash or something. I've changed a lot of things. Oh, well, all the game logic, we've not actually... See that we're using closest.pause. I think I won't be able to get this working before I close sign off. I can do this stuff offline. This is not interesting. This is just switching all these things to use the bounding box instead of the pause. All right, I'll sort that out offline. I think when I resubmit this, I could get an improved rank because I'm now using a more accurate position. It's simply just more restricted than before. It's strictly smaller, so could be better. Could be worse if that somehow causes me to run into monsters more often. I don't know. Yeah, I've really got to stop now because gym closes at 8 p.m., which is actually quite early for a gym to close. But yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for all the tips. That helped me a lot. It's good to hear what you're doing with the essentially getting the next states for the drone's movement. And doing that in a clean way accounts for the edges of the map as well. It avoids danger zones. I think I need to be doing that basically. That is the sensible next step. So I think that could be the thing which gets me up maybe a few hundred spots if I can get it working. Because my predicted position stuff is already pretty good. It's mostly using the information we have to best ability. There's one thing we could do, and I don't really want to do this yet, and that's not only do we know where the fish is, but we also have information on where the fish isn't. So if we look in our light radius and there's no fish there, we say, okay, well, the fish is not there. So subtract that area from our B box, but then it's no longer convex. That's the problem. It's no longer rect. It's actually a non-convex union of rectangles, so that gets messy, but it can be done. Furthermore, every time you see an enemy which is not holding a scan for that fish, and you see, okay, they didn't pick up a scan for that fish, that means the fish must not be in their radius. So that's another rectangle we can subtract from our knowledge. So you can actually break down this bounding box even smaller and smaller. But once you do that, it's no longer a rectangle. It's a set of disjoint rectangles. So it's not even convex, and it may not even be simply connected. There may be holes in the middle of it. So it becomes much more complex, but in general, it will give you a more restricted set, and then the actual predicted position of a disjoint set of rectangles is just the weighted average of the centers of each rectangle, isn't it? Based on how big that rectangle is. Smaller rectangles contribute less, bigger ones contribute more. So you can actually get a much more accurate average, like probability-wise, for where that fish is. And you can work with this, and you're not even going to have hundreds of rectangles. Usually they're not going to be that many, because every time you see the fish, you just wipe that clean, and you just replace that set with one rectangle of 0 width. So I don't think this will add too much overhead. We have to really rework the logic though, but I think it could be quite cool. And maybe this is something a bit more novel, because I've not had anyone say they've done this yet, so I don't know. It could go horribly wrong, but at least it's something a bit more creative. I've been thinking about how to make this work, but this is bordering on like computational geometry, like proper I don't know. There's algorithms for this involving trapezium maps, which I probably don't need to use. I can just do a straight up for loop with every rectangle with every other one and perform intersections. There's not many rectangles, so it doesn't need to be computationally efficient. All right. Yeah, I really need to go. Yep. Thanks again. I will probably be back tomorrow. I'll try to stream every day from now on, because it's like there's only like 4 days left. I've got a lot I want to do, so I might need to do the evenings as well if I want to get more done. I don't know. We'll see. Probably not today though. I'd rather just play a video game or something today. Okay, yeah, see you. Thanks for watching. I normally upload all these videos to YouTube as well. I'm not sure whether I'll do this one. I didn't do much this stream. It might be a bit of a boring video. I'll upload it anyway. It's up to the viewers to decide what they find boring. Because I didn't do much except overhaul the rect stuff and talk a lot about random crap in an attempt to avoid doing any work. But, yeah. That's just every stream, isn't it? All right. Bye-bye.